So many artists think playlists are the key to growing their music career, but the real key to growth in 2025 isn't playlists, it's content. Today's guest has built over 500,000 playlist followers without even running an ad, and what he shares will completely flip the way you think about music curation, discovery, and artist growth. Hey guys, it's Zack Gray from Modern Headliner. I actually filmed this conversation last year on another channel, but the insights were way too good not to reshare here on this channel. And what we discuss is even more relevant now than it was then. If you're new here, I'm an artist and producer with over 100 million streams, performances at major festivals, releases on top labels, and collaborations with some of the biggest names of dance music. These days, my focus is on helping artists do what most never figure out: how to turn great music into a real fan base. That's what we do here at Modern Headliner. We help artists build a clear brand, create authentic content that connects, and grow real audiences without relying on labels or gatekeepers. And this conversation with Steve Cardigan, founder of Put You On, is one of the best examples of how to do that. Steve went from DJing in Santa Barbara to building one of the most influential curator platforms online. He's one of the few people truly reshaping what music journalism and discovery look like today. He's even credited with coining the name for the Stutter House genre, and he's been using his platform to spotlight up-and-coming artists through his content. His AM radio event series is also redefining club culture, hosting house music events earlier in the day at coffee shops, creating a whole new vibe for the electronic scene. In this conversation, we dive into how he built massive reach, what artists are getting wrong about playlists, and the strategies that actually build long-term fan bases in 2025 and beyond. If you're an independent artist trying to break through, this is one you don't want to miss. Now let's get into it.
So it seems like I accidentally named a new genre that was created in dance music this year. And I think the entire music industry is about to shift. So this current wave of house music, this tremolo house or stutter house vibe, earned itself an entirely new playlist. Spotify took a playlist that I came up with this year and made it an official Spotify Wrapped genre. So I just reached over 500,000 followers to my Spotify playlists. I've never ran a single ad. I'm gonna show you exactly how I did this.
Steve, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for getting me on here. Excited to kind of dive in and hear more about what you're cooking up and share our experiences of our love for helping artists. So I'm ready.
Yeah, so we just talked through this. I'm just going to give you some kind of titles. You let me know if these stick, right? We got curator, founder, label owner, and my favorite, man, is that curator part, man.
Yeah. So music curator, exactly. Like there's it's kind of a newer term, I would say. So we can kind of talk about what I think a music curator is, and if any other curators are interested in kind of like building in this space, kind of what it takes and what I've been through and stuff like that.
Yeah. Before I kind of let you kind of share your story, man, I think just that word curation is something, even just with AI and everything that's going on in the world right now, I feel like that word curation is something that an AI will never, in my opinion, hopefully be able to replace. And so when I think about curation, man, I think about art, I think about music, I think about even a music producer. It's like, even as a musician or anything, we are curating samples, we are curating all the artists that we love all the time into what is our own art. And so all that turning into whether the experience of an event or a playlist or a piece of music, I don't feel like an AI that's not human will ever be able to replace that. And I think as we go further into, the next couple of years, what that is and what that means, which is curation, is something that will be even more powerful, man. Someone to create an experience from their taste, from their experience that they know is going to resonate with someone else. So, dude, I guess that's a really good kind of like breaking off point. Like, dude, I'd love to hear just kind of your background, how you got into where you are today, man.
Yeah, great. So I started my content journey before I was into music. So I kind of went three-step process. Initially, I was DJing in college, so I guess music could have been first. Technically, I wasn't producing. I was a DJ in college. We had a residency at a couple nightclubs in Santa Barbara, and when all this was happening, we were entrepreneurs at heart. So we weren't only about DJing at clubs, but we were also into the event curation business, I guess, right? Event producers. So we created a company called The Plug in Santa Barbara. When this was happening, we had interns that were photographers and videographers. I wasn't myself shooting, but I got a little bit into editing at that point. So that's kind of when like my creative process in that sense started to flow. When I moved to LA, I didn't know anybody in LA, so I didn't have any.
If you don't mind, like, when can you give me like a little time frame of some of this stuff?
Yeah. So college, I was really DJing like 2015, 16 ish. That's when I started, and then all the way up to about 2018. So about 3 years, we were in Santa Barbara doing our thing. We were kind of like the young kids DJing. A lot of other DJs in town were a little bit older than us and playing like top 40. We were kind of the young kids playing like SoundCloud rappers, and we were talent buying there and bringing in like throwback Thursday parties with some cool artists that we grew up on. And that was when like, so the event stuff we're moving. And then I moved to LA in 2019, January 1st of 2019. So right when 2019 starts, again, I didn't know anybody, but our entrepreneurial spirit kind of carried us into one of our interns that was interning for us, got a job at a creative studio. And we always wanted to start a creative studio, but at that point, we didn't have any money. The idea was basically a photo studio that people could come and take photos and content in. They could do shoots video shoots in there, but also kind of a creative hub where like even designers could come and like hang up their clothing. So we had like a rack of clothes from like designers in LA that we liked that were young, and just an overall place where you can go and shoot podcasts or interviews. This is a little bit before I would say like the big podcast wave happened, but essentially all creative outputs could be kind of put together in a single room. So it was a studio with a cyc wall and everything. And when we got the opportunity from one of our photographers who said, "Hey, we have some really cool photographers in here, by the way. They're shooting like Juice World and Future, but they don't really know how to run a studio and make it a business." Because of course, booking a studio is different than just using the studio. So they were all using it, but they weren't really booking it. The owner of the studio was kind of looking for somebody to come in and manage that side of the business. So the entrepreneurs that we were, Jay Rare was my business partner. We came in and we started to book out the studio and kind of like create events in the studio and kind of like branch out and get more artists involved. So that was kind of like when I again got more and more into content, again leaving the DJing part behind because I didn't know any connections at any clubs out here. It wasn't really my priority to be a DJ. It was kind of just I think a way for us to have our own events, and I was into the music side of things. So from all that happening is when I got into the kind of more of like the video production stuff. Didn't really fall in love with it as much as I thought I was going to. I think I was kind of a fish out of water. I wasn't like that good at editing or shooting. I still taught myself how to do both, and I ended up like supporting myself from that creative process. But I basically at the end of that lease decided I want to be like the playlist guy really bad on Spotify. This is before Music Curator was a thing.
Yeah.
This is
Well, hey,
before TikTok.
let's go right there for a minute, man,
Yeah,
because I have a couple questions about what you said so far. So,
cool.
as you were kind of going on this journey, man, from the DJ to the event stuff, like I guess what was the first initial drive of that first thing that inspired you to either to be a DJ or throw events? Like what was the vision in terms of like what you wanted to create, and then what was that point that made you go, okay, I don't really want to do the music stuff. I want to go into like the playlist stuff. Like what was your thought process through like why you wanted to do that, and what was those different points that made you kind of go the different direction?
Well, I think for the event side of things, it was there was a business behind it, right? So if we're going to a club, we would get paid to DJ. So I was making money from DJing. But then we were like, cool, how can we like make this a bigger movement? And we were really into like the social media side of things. So we were very intentional on how to build our own pages, and we just knew that there was power behind that. And this is like when Instagram was in its prime. Like this is when like Instagram was the thing.
Yeah, who are you looking at? Because like, dude, I always go back to just references for everything, man. So who were you looking at that maybe inspired you to kind of have this idea, or whose Instagram accounts or like people, influencers did you see where you go like, yo, like I see the power of this and I want to do that for myself?
Yeah, Space Yacht was a big one. So Space
Okay.
Yacht was they were crushing. They were throwing cool parties. We even like adopted like we brought pizza to our parties as well. And like again, everything was about content for Instagram. So it was like photo and video recaps of nights. We were also like talent buying at the clubs. So we're like, cool, how can we use the club and their budget to bring in artists that we can end up like I'll be on stage with like Ja Rule. We had like Ja Rule. We had Yin Yang Twins, Nef the Pharaoh, OT Genesis. Afro Man, like all these like kind of like artists that were hot at one point. This is kind of when OT was hot, but a lot of like these artists, and we were like, cool, like then we can keep creating these bigger and bigger events, and then eventually like that's how we were going to scale. But that was the biggest thing for the event side of things. And then the second part of it, which was getting into you said the music curation stuff.
Yeah, when you were like, "Yo, I want to go into the playlist." So
Yeah.
let me correct me if I'm wrong, man. It's like it seems like at the beginning when you were just doing this, obviously there's the business side of things, and that makes everything better when you can do what you like to do, and then obviously there's money attached to it, which is why we're here talking right now.
Yeah.
But so for you, man, at the beginning, was it really just like, "Yo, I love to throw events, I love to throw experiences, I
Yeah.
love to like put other people on and like create a whole vibe"? Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like DJing just like I always wanted to be a DJ. Like I always like I bought my turntable, I taught myself how to DJ. I just thought like the DJ was the coolest guy in the room. If you look at Virgil Abloh, he was able to DJ events and parties and he was like but running off white. And then, there's also a cool label in LA, Mind of a Genius, and David Dan is the founder of that. And I saw him DJing his own parties, and I was like, cool. Like, there's always such a need for a DJ, I think, and I think that's a way to get into a lot of different rooms. But at the same time, it was just purely like, cool. Like, we want to be the cool guys in town that have the cool music, and we want to have fun doing it. So it really started as that. I was more on that side, and then my partner Jay was on like more of the business side. So us together kind of was what kind of sparked that.
I love it, man. Okay, so yeah, so let's go up to the playlist. Like, what was that transition of like, "Yo, I need to
Yeah.
curate playlists and stuff like that now"?
Yeah, so I was during when I was a DJ, I was on Instagram. I was posting a song of the day on my Instagram story Monday through Friday when I was at college. So I was like I was writing a music blog and I was trying to be like I really wanted to work at Complex. That was like a big goal of mine. And I was like, cool. So if I'm like all combining everything and I'm showing people new music, I had a Spotify playlist and I was using Instagram stories. I had 10,000 Instagram followers, which means back in the day, if you don't remember, you could swipe up on Instagram and so on your
That's
stories.
right. That's
Right,
right.
you have to either be verified or have 10K. So
Yep.
we had a
Yep.
big goal. That was like the big goal too when it was building our Instagram pages was to get to 10K so we could have links to things like my blog and my playlists. But I didn't see that much of a crossover to the playlist. It's like I would still post all the time. And again, Instagram still today, but even more back then, you were pushed to your followers. So there was not as much of an algorithm. There wasn't as much of a For You page or Discover page there. So you were kind of getting the same people seeing your Instagram stories. They would follow or they wouldn't follow, and it was hard to kind of push them to become a playlist follower. So all this is happening, and I just am thinking of ways to continue doing that. So I start this series called My Spotify Recent Plays, and this is at the tail end of when our studio was about to be up for its lease. And so I remember COVID was just about to be happening, and we knew that the last month of our studio rent, 2020, like March, April, was dead. Right? We knew that we were going to be shut out, so we didn't renew our lease. We decided not to do it. We had this big meeting. What are we going to do next? And I just said I want to be the playlist guy. So that night, literally, like until like 5 in the morning, I'm shooting these videos at the studio. And hey, I'm Steve Cardigan. These are my Spotify recent plays. And I would kind of go in the journalism aspect of it. I have a journalism degree in college, so I kind of like went that direction with it. And it was breaking down artists that I was adding to Spotify playlists. But again, this is before I even knew what a music curator really was. I just wanted to be like known online for music, and that was still carrying over from my like my swipe up song of the day stuff. And then when that happened, when TikTok started to really blow up because this is during COVID, right? So I saw Rolling Stone magazine posted a article that said the future of music journalism is on TikTok via TikTok music blogs. And I was like, what's a TikTok music blog? And I was like, I blog, I like music. I have to figure out what this is. And they were giving examples of these pages on TikTok that we now call music curators, but they were like TikTok music blogs because, like, again, the terminology was different back then. And at that moment, I was like, this is what I need to do. I need to come up with a series, and I need to start my own TikTok music blog, which eventually has scaled into Put You On.
Dude, so sick, man. I've been taking notes, man, just so you know if I'm looking down. But I think the coolest thing, man, about that story, and first off, you mentioned the journalism degree, so you even had a feeling that you wanted to just write about stuff from when you were younger, yeah?
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. That's what college I think is such a big, important thing for people is because more so the things you learn about yourself, the people you meet, the situations you find yourself in, how fast you grow up. I wasn't even a big writer when I was growing up. I was getting like C's in English class. Like I wasn't a good writer, but I really love sports. So I was on the sports journalism, I was on I was in the school newspaper. I was the sports editor at one point. So I was a sports writer because I kind of wanted to be in sports. I was an athlete that I fizzled out as a baseball guy, and I got approached in a journalism class because I had again I'm trying to be a journalist for my degree, and this guy was a sports writer for the paper. He's like, hey. You wear a baseball hat. You must like sports. Come write for the school paper called the Channels newspaper at Santa Barbara City College. And I did that, ended up being the sports editor the next year. So I'm like, cool, I'm about to be a sports guy for journalism. And my whole roommates all thought that as well. I got a phone call from Neil Everett one night because I applied to be an intern for him, cold email. And he was like, here's how you apply to be a Disney intern. Anyways, I realized pretty quickly though that music was way more fun. I thought like DJing and throwing these events than broadcasting sports at school. Like, yeah, that was fun, but I just fell in love with like the lifestyle of the music and what was around it. It was a little less suit and tie, a little less proper. I just preferred it. So that's when the DJing thing happened. We started like the event stuff, and then my roommates all joked that like my business partner Jay Rare, he ruined my sports journalism career by taking me out of it and doing that. So, but super glad I did it. And but yeah, so that's like that was the whole when it comes to writing and journalism stuff, like it came to me in college, and I kind of naturally had an okay ability to write journalistically, not like for school though, which is funny. So I was never like nobody would have ever thought I was going to be writing for my school paper when I was in high school ever. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, man, because I mean, even just being an entrepreneur now, it's like the just different opinions about going to college. I mean, even just running my business for the last year or so, it's like there is so much time in college, and even school is just set up. It's supposed to take a certain amount of time. It's not really teaching you I mean, dude, I have learned so many things now. I mean, I went to one semester of music college where I didn't even know when I got my grade. I didn't even know what my grades were, but dude, I think if you do go to college, I think the whole experience of people you meet is great. But dude, there's obviously so many people who go to college and who never use any single thing that they take in college. So I think it's cool for you, man, that this actually did translate. And so I wanted to go back to you for a second, because when I watch your videos now, it makes sense. If you're training, if you want to look at it like that, your experience with journalism, how you say things and how you curate the content, it makes sense. That okay, yeah, it makes sense. Steve went to school for journalism, and how you put together those videos, dude, is literally like a segment and could be on Complex, could be on anything, dude.
Yeah, and I'm a big believer that's why I always tried so many different things. And I think that anybody should just try as many things as possible, because everything I've ever done has led me up to what I'm doing with Put You On today. Like the speaking on mic, right? Like that's from my broadcasting experience. Like writing scripts for my videos, that's from my journalism background. Like editing content, that's from me editing videos for artists at the studio, right? Like everything has led me to this. Even being efficient and prolific at social media back in the day, when it comes to how to grow on Instagram, these things all transferred over, and I'm using all of that today in a context that I didn't really know it was going to be in at that point. But it's just important to try as many things as possible, because everything is going to mold you into something, but what those things are will drastically dictate what that ends up being. So I'm glad that it was all in the content side of things, because content is, as you know, bigger than ever, and it will continue to be that. So yeah, everything I've learned, I still use today, which is pretty special. I'm glad that I went through all that stuff and tried all those things, right? I wasn't afraid to go and try throwing events. We just did it. We just tried it. Failed a lot. We always said fail your way to the top. Every failure is just your step in the right direction, that people say, so it's so true. So I'm a big believer in that as well. Yeah.
I love that so much, man. I think, just in today's world, and I want to come back to social media and content's going to get more and more important. I just told someone else that earlier today. But I feel lucky that I did decide I wanted to do music when I was 13. Right. And so, never got to exactly where I wanted it to be, but then, all my authority and experience I have led me up to having this mentorship coaching company, which was never what I expected. But I think just a point I want to just kind of hammer home for a second, just for anyone watching, is the pressure to actually make something of your life when you were in your 20s is so it's so great, and there's just so many kids who are younger that just feel so much anxiety and depression, whether it's they don't know what to do yet or whatever. And so I really love that what you said, and so I think for everyone watching, if you don't know that thing yet, just try as much stuff as you can, because being in my 30s now is like, dude, I still feel like a kid most of the time, man. I still feel like I'm just getting started with my business, and I'm so grateful that I had all the experiences that I did. And dude, I just read this list today. I think I reposted it. It was just a list of like all these massive company owners, whether it was like Walmart or I don't even know, just a bunch of those like huge ones. And it was like 50, 60, 45. And so it just kind of reminded me, man, like, we're so young and like we have so much time to make a legacy if that's what we want to do. Awesome, man. So before I kind of get to my questions, the last thing I was going to say, to go back to the playlist one more time, when you made that transition to go into the playlisting, like what was in your mind, that vision or that thing you wanted to build from just that idea of like, yo, I got to build this playlist. I got to start making this series. Like what was, I mean, I'm sure it's materializing now, like, of course, but what was that like, yo, I see this turning into this? Was it the label? Was it events? Like, what was it for you?
Yeah. Initially, the playlist thing I thought was just initially it was, how do I prove to people that I can be in the music industry? I couldn't get any interviews at first, right? Zero interviews. I was applying to everything in like front desk positions, marketing roles, because I shot videos and knew how to do social media. Like I was applying everywhere for every position, just trying to get in the music industry. After zero interviews, I was like, all right, I have to basically prove to people that I know what I'm talking about, or that I can give them something where I can separate myself from other people. So not only that, but to me, like, to have a cool playlist that people liked, like that just showed other people that I was like a verified source, I thought, for music. And so if I were able to scale, oh, what if like 1,000 people follow my playlist? Like people would trust my music taste more, and then there's a lot of things that can happen from there. But yeah, like when I started Put You On, it's so funny. And this story, hopefully it's not too long-winded, but through my studio, I was at an event at Live Nation, and a bunch of agencies were there because it was, obviously Live Nation, the agencies, they all work together. And we meet these girls who were agents and assistant agents at APA in Beverly Hills. And I was like, hey, you should bring some of your artists to my studio, and they should shoot content there. We threw an event there. I invited them. They came. They saw the event. They saw the space, and they were like, "Cool, yeah, we're gonna get this artist Trevor Daniel to come in and shoot some content." So when that happened, I made that connection with this girl Jen, and that was when I saw on LinkedIn there was a assistant agent role, basically a mailroom role at APA opening up, and I was like, "Oh, maybe this is another way I can get in the music industry." So I had Put You On already. I had the playlist stuff. I kind of used that on my resume, but it wasn't big enough to really matter at that point. I get my first interview in music at APA. It was like right before COVID, so right at the end of the studio as well, when I'm kind of like, what am I gonna do? I want to be the playlist guy. I want to be in music. That's my real passion. I'm not like as passionate about like shooting a video, being a camera guy. So I finally get that interview, but when COVID hits and I get the job, COVID hits, they called me before I could start, and they're like, hey, you can't start on Monday, by the way. We're shutting our office down because of COVID. And I was like, all right, so I'm going to sit around here and wait. So instead of me being like, okay, cool, whenever they hit me up, I'll start, I was like, damn, what if instead of like 5 people they just hire, what if they bring in 1 or 2 people now because of COVID? I want to show them that I'm the one. I was like still in competition mode. I didn't think that I had the job yet still. So I was like, hey, I have this playlist. I made this series on TikTok. This is it right now. Some cool artists that I found for APA, yada, yada, yada. So I kept doing that. I would check in once a month. And when I was checking in, I would just get the same message. Hey, thanks for sending us this, the update. Sounds really cool. Cool artist, cool playlist. Still status quo. We're still shut. Every month I would still say, hey, I grew the playlist 150 followers. So I was like building Put You On as like a way to prove myself that I was their guy still. And when all this was happening, 13 emails later, so over a year later, So I thought it was going to last a couple months. It lasted over a year. 13 emails later, I sent my last email and said, hey, I got a job offer from a record label. I'm going to take it. Thanks for everything. So Put You On was being built off the back of me trying to prove that I was the guy for the mailroom. And that process and that like grind that I was on, because I had so much free time during COVID, that was what I was doing to build Put You On. And then, as a reflection of that work ethic and that process is what got me the TikTok page started doing well, the playlist started blowing up, and that's when the label started to finally notice me. And so my plan kind of worked. I didn't really know it was going to work in the sense of me trying to get the job at the agency, but instead I skipped over the agency and I went to the label, which I initially wanted to, but again, like I said, I had 0 interviews before that, so that's how I really got in there. And Put You On was built. I think probably when I sent that email, I probably had 40,000 followers to my biggest playlist. I think I had like 50K on TikTok, and so that's what got me in the door to the other side of the music industry. But it was funny because it was through that, like me trying to prove myself to the agency, which is funny.
Dude, thank you for sharing that story, man. I love that so much. And dude, I'm a faith guy, man. So I always look at like, what's God trying to do? And so it's interesting, man, when I hear you tell that story, and I don't know where you are with all that stuff, but dude, what I hear is, bro, if you had gotten one of those interviews leading to a job, and then if COVID didn't happen, like, dude, you probably wouldn't be here today in the same way that you were. And so it's so interesting, man, how it's like sometimes those closed doors are exactly what you need. I'm getting chills as I think about this, bro, because I'm thinking about my own life, bro. It's so cool to hear that, man. And I love that you said the competition mode, because, dude, I'm emotional, I'm creative, I'm a songwriter. I've been that way since I was a really young dude, and I've had whatever quote unquote like talent, I guess you could say, but the reason I am where I am today and I have the music that sounds like it does and my business is where it is because I am competitive, bro. Like I've always had that sports drive thing in me, man. And so like I totally feel that with you too, and every single thing that's happened with me, from label deals not working out to getting signed and dropped to everything I've been through, all of those things, situations that are, even less than that have ruined some people. They're like, oh man, well, I guess I'm gonna give up now and just like work a regular job the rest of my life. But I just want to, just in this moment tell you, like, I haven't known you for very long, man, but just as like from my heart to yours, like I'm proud of you, man, that you kept going like no matter what, and you had that drive to just like keep doing it, man, because that's why we're here, man. And that's why I'm really trying to bring people like you on, because I think regardless of what you've been building now and what you will build, getting those chances to share those stories is, whoever's listening to this, they're gonna be like, even if it's one person that's like, yo, I'm gonna keep going, because Steve said that.
Yeah. And just be optimistic. Like I was just always optimistic that like what I was building, it was going to translate. I wasn't like, oh man, I can make this playlist, but then what? It was just like, let me just like, think in real time and be very optimistic that what you're doing and what you're working at is the thing to be doing, right? Like I just knew, like I just knew right away. And that's another thing about the content thing. Like I knew that the future was on video like that, and there was a huge opportunity. And I just feel like that time just hasn't passed yet. Like I just always feel like, and more so, the content is like, I know what I'm doing. If I keep doing it, like that is gonna be the tiny drops that smooth that rough rock, or whatever they say, right? Like small mundane things over and over and over and over again, multiply with time, is going to be the thing that's going to be, catapulting things and making things exponentially grow. So I still feel the same way. Like people are like, oh man, it's crazy, like the size that the playlist now. And it's like, yeah, well, it took like 5,000 videos, right? Like it's like it's just the thing that you always have to be in love with that process, because the more so you are, the more that you're going to be excited to do the videos. A lot of artists I talk to about that same thing, like fall in love with making the videos and having the opportunity right now that has never been given to any other artist. Like just fall in love with that process, because that is what's going to carry you through the necessary amount of time it's going to take.
That's one of the first clips of this, bro. With that. Exactly, bro. Yes, dude. Yeah. Okay. So, dude, that kind of leads me into some of these questions, but just the final clarity on this moment of where we're talking about with the vision with the playlist. So you got the job with the label. Curious what that label was, and then what was the big vision with the future of like what you saw the playlist, like what you wanted it to turn into.
So the label's Third Brain. So they're an independent label in LA. They were managers at first. They managed like Zoo and Cruella, Gallant when he was Grammy nominated. So they built an independent label side of the
Wait,
business
oh, is Third
because
Brain also
Zerb,
Emmett's
Emmett Fenn.
Emmett Finn? Dude, I know
Yep.
those guys, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
They're awesome. They're like they're really really cool, really great independent label in LA. And they gave me my first chance when no other labels would. Right, I really wanted to be an A&R. I was like, cool. I felt like if everybody would find my playlist, if you're an A&R, you'd find all these artists that were unsigned, independent, and that could be like a tool for them. So I was like, I want to like start using this to like help build artists and find artists and like work with them. So that wasn't initially my idea, but I quickly knew that cool, like I have this now. This has to be used somehow, and I still feel like I'm in a weird area in music where I'm an A&R, where I can find artists and help build artists, and but I also have the content side of things. So I'm a little bit like of an anomaly, I would say, but because typically it's one or the other, right? You have the A&Rs, you have the content creators, the music curators, but to be both is something that I think is still really, really, really new. But I think in general, music curation is still very, very new. Like, I'm very surprised on if I drop a video about, hey, I made this playlist. This is how much followers, that many followers it has now. Comment Curator if you want me to send you the guide. And the hundreds of comments I would get, I'm like, whoa, like I can't believe that there are that many people that are into curation because you still don't see that many people that are doing it. You do see there's still a good amount, but I think it's way less than it should be. So I'm really trying to also empower people like that. But the goal of initially was make these playlists, be known as a music guy, and then it was like cool, work at a label, like be a A&R. And then when I saw the effects of my platform while being an A&R on the artists, I was like, okay, this probably can be a label one day, right? I was seeing the YouTube labels, right? Where the YouTube labels had these YouTube pages, they ran ads all day long on them, they were growing audience, they would put their artists into the YouTube videos, and they would scale that way. I was like, well, what does that look like now from Spotify playlists, but also organic content on TikTok and Instagram? And that has kind of yet to be done. So I was like, okay, what does that look like? How do I build it? Again, it's kind of the same process I was doing where the label was really cool. They weren't always like post every single song that we put out. It's like they were very much like whatever works on your platform, like do it. Whatever you're excited about, do it. Like we want you to do your thing, and if it works great. And we've had some awesome moments from some of the artists like Emmett and Zerb and Jersey, Angry Baby, Babsy. And this a couple new artists as well. So yeah, we're kind of in like inning one. I think of these like curator led music businesses, and I'm really trying to build that at this point where I'm doing the thing where you see the person that's building their gum brand where they're creating all these videos about the gum industry and whatever, or the workout merch line from somebody who's an athlete or that lifts. Like what does that look like for music? And so that's kind of where I'm at now, but it's always been breadcrumbed. It was always like cool, like grow here, and then like now we're here, what's the next step, what's the next step, what's the next step, which I think is a healthy way to do it.
Yeah. So you're still at Third Brain, yes?
So now I'm a partner with Third Brain. I'm in a joint venture with them for my own label. It's a small with only 3 artists at this point. So starting small and slow, but I think it takes that because again, like I said, like I'm not just like signing artists and have a team to like work on it. It's like I'm working on everything with the artists at the same time simultaneously. So I knew right away that I wasn't going to be able to sign a bunch of artists, but really like how do we go and develop them? How do I help them with their own content? And then the Third Brain team as well supplies with a lot of really really good talent when it comes to like project management and content stuff. So yeah, we're in like that tandem right now.
Amazing, man. Dude, there's so many things. I keep taking notes on stuff, man. So I'm gonna try to like remember everything that I wrote down. But dude, a couple things I really like, man, is you brought up the YouTube channel thing. And so when I first got into the EDM space, the label that signed the first song was Chill Nation. So like Andre, Trap Nation, right?
Yep.
So
yeah.
It's interesting to think about that, man, because they're, at the time back in, 2016 to 2019, 2020, it's like Trap Nation was like the 30th biggest YouTube channel on YouTube. And so it's cool to hear you say that because, there's a lot of, so they have the ability with those channels to blow up artists, right? Which has been really dope. And then they have the label side of things, but they don't have the journalism, content, TikTok, Instagram stuff that you're saying. And so, dude, I think the blend of these things that are curators into labels, into the social media stuff, into like the music curator journalism thing is new, man. And so, and bro, why I think we're here talking today, man, is because what I'm trying to do is different, man. Why I love that you said this hasn't been done before is I feel the same about my company, man, which is, and I have another friend who is trying to make kind of a different kind of music company. And he told me the other day, he's like, bro, you're in A&R. And I don't really look at myself like that. I kind of look at myself as like an educator or like a coach, right? Mm-hmm. But my big vision is to turn this into a new kind of music company where it's like starts with education. There's artists investing in themselves into the program to get coached. And then, and really what I am doing, I am A&Ring them. I'm helping them build all their stuff from making sure the music's good to making sure they have their all brand and the content, all that stuff. And then for the right artists that, stand out, it's like, I'm already working on some partnerships with some of them to like build a team similar to what you guys are probably doing at Third Brain. So I think it's really cool to be here with this kind of new space and new possibilities in the music industry, man. And so, I know we talked previously on the phone, man, and I'm not going to just give the sauce away to everyone listening, but dude, I have some ideas for you, man. So at some point we have some time, bro. I want to I got some ideas, dude. So, cool. All right, dude. So I kind of want to get into the content stuff that you mentioned, and I want to kind of get into some questions that are really just about what can independent artists do? And I want to throw one thing at you first that I've been telling some of these guys to do. So if you look at our Instagram feeds, and especially as how you look at it, and I've done a lot of work with specific artists about creating a series, right? Creating a series, I do these like 5 levels of content, right? You got, you need to have more produced ones and you need to have stuff that's really easy, right? But the goal with this is so that people basically see the same similar things and they know like, yo, that's Steve. Like, bro, when I see a video by you, I'm like, dude, that's Steve. Like it's instantly, right? And so that's what we want with all these artists. But the thing about how you started with Song of the Day, what I've been telling some of these artists, and I'm curious what you think about this because we've talked kind of at length in some of my workshops with them, is if an artist also has, because dude, you probably know this is a thing, right? So one of the strategies with the artist is, okay, make an artist playlist, okay? Put your music on there and put all the other artists that you like that are bigger than you, right? And so you pin that to your Spotify profile. And if you're gonna run ads or you're gonna run attention, you run attention to that. So eventually Spotify is learning that, hey, people are listening to you and then they're listening to this other big artist that sounds like you. And over time, right, that's going to, teach Spotify where to put you, right? Yeah. But I think the extra step with that, which I was telling them, is if you are gaining fans from your content, but if your fans also know that your page is a place where they can discover other new artists that are similar to you, maybe that even gives the fans that you're going to make have more trust in you instead of just because, dude, there's this mindset of like, dude, my goal with all these artists is how can we sustainably create that system so that they can make those 5,000 videos and they can realize that this is just an extension of themselves and their art and their creativity. And it's not this chore. It's not this cringy, crappy thing that they feel like they have to do. They eventually, finally, hope to God, look at it as the opportunity that me and you both know that it actually is, right? Yeah, and so if you are coming from a place as an artist where you are giving, you're not just going on Instagram to make something to take, right? I'm trying to take fans, I'm trying to take listeners, I'm trying to get followers. It's like, how can I go there to give? And so one of the ideas I have for them is dude, make a playlist. I mean, it's a dubstep producer, call it like heavy hitters, and every Monday or day of the week, you're posting one of your friends' songs, like, yo, go check out my buddy's track. Or even you're also posting new tracks from bigger artists. And so people are coming to your Instagram and they know that, like, yo, I love this dude's music, but he's also, unintended, put me on to other music that I don't know yet. So what do you think about that, man?
I mean, yeah, I've talked to artists about this a lot. A couple points you hit on that I definitely resonate with. The giving value versus taking value. A lot of time, like, you want to give the person that comes across your video on the For You page, you want to give them value, and typically that's just in the form of quality music, like giving you're performing your song, your talent, you're letting your talent alone be a value for the viewer. Because like me, right, I find a lot of value, and a lot of music fans who are finding artists that are online, we get value in that one song we hear. Like, the biggest one I remember right away being like, oh my God, like, and all they were doing was playing the song was the I want to go party, I want to have fun, that one, Midnight, I forget what it's called. What is it here? Yeah, Black Friday by Lost Frequencies. Like, right away, I was like, oh, this song is so good. Like, that's a value. I'm getting that kick from the app at that moment, right? But and versus like, hey, follow me, stream me, come to my show. Like, and then you're like, ugh, like, I'm just getting like fed this like marketing tool from this person. Versus, yeah, that value thing. And then also the other thing you were talking about was yeah, like I always say, like, be like more of a page for music, be known for music, not just like, this is my song. And I get it, like, you don't want to waste a post on like promoting another artist if you're an artist, like some people think that way. But I think at the end of the day, if you have a healthy relationship with your audience, or just the algorithm in general, that people know when they come to your page they're going to get value, right? They're going to get something. I think it's a good idea. Plus, like, making playlists, yes, like the algorithm play for Spotify, very important. That's why when I say the most powerful thing besides content for artists is a content driven playlist, because a few things, and I write about this in my Curator guide, like, deeply. I really break this down, but essentially us curators are putting a playlist together of these artists, and TikTok and Instagram are finding this playlist through a funnel, right? The top of the funnel is the content, and TikTok and Instagram are doing the heavy work when finding the right people for that video, because they know the algorithm, right? So you're getting those music fans, but then that music fan is going to go and like watch the whole video, and they're going to see what the playlist is at the end of that video. They're going to go to your link in bio. They're going to, all this step process that shrinks that size of that listener to the end time when they go and they play that song. Like, that's a strong trait of a listener on TikTok or Instagram, because most people are just scrolling. Oh, cool, they scroll. But if you're a real music fan, that you're about finding artists and going to shows and all this stuff, like, you're more of an active, I would say, viewer when it comes to music content. So you're going to find those people that are on their playlist are going to be like a very qualified listener that Spotify knows who that is. So when all this happens and those quality listeners are playing your music on a playlist next to those other artists that you were talking about, that is supercharged the algorithm. So, like, that in itself is so big, where like and I don't know if you knew this, but I have songs on Spotify that I put out like 3 songs or something like that. My first song ever was called Smeds. It has like 2.5 million streams on Spotify, but if I go to my playlist, it has like 500,000 or a million streams for my playlist. So there was 1.5 million streams from the algorithm. And if you go to like my Spotify radio for like my artist profile, you see a lot of artists that I put on my playlist: Vandalux, Emmett Fenn, Zerb, like all these artists. And you're like, oh, like, does that mean that Steve sounds like this artist? No, it's just the listeners that are listening to these artists are listening to Steve. So that is what I'm talking about. So yes, like, you're right when you say that it is important for the algorithm push. Over time, compounding, that algorithm will favor you in a way that it wouldn't otherwise if you weren't on a content-driven playlist. So that's why it's so important. I think Curator's playlists are, people always ask, how many streams would like a song get on the playlist? It's like, it might get like 500 in a day, 1,000 in a day, but the trickle effect from the algorithm will do way more. So that is what you want to be. That's why you want to be on these playlists. And that's why artists should do that as well and make these playlists because that'll help their algorithm. But also, you'll be able to connect with other artists that way too. You can, hey, cool, you have really cool music. Let me put you on my playlist. Like that's a value. Like I said, if you're talking about putting out value to other people, like all these things are, I think, important.
Oh, love, man. Okay, so dude, there's a couple things I want to go from here. One is I want to kind of stay on the playlist side of things for a second, but I want to put a pin in the content stuff. Okay, so dude, as you're fully aware of, okay, even when I've released many songs in the past with labels, it's like, yo, what playlister are we gonna pay for playlisting, right? And that's a whole kind of like, touchy subject. And so, the thing I want to mention, which and which most people should know, is that the vanity metrics of paying for playlisting, or even just having some one thing go viral, right? Or even just like boosting something or whatever. It's like that stuff can be great, but it's those little drops on the stone to make it smooth over time that are going to have the biggest effect. Because dude, what we see and what I've seen countless times is like artists will release a song, it'll get playlisted, it'll go from having 10,000 plays a day or whatever it is down to like, oh, now it gets like 10 plays a day. And so I know that can be extremely bad in terms of what it can do to the algorithm. And so dude, as a playlister, I don't know if I can call you that. I don't even know if you like that title, Steve, but as someone who makes playlists, just, talking to artists and thinking about the whole industry that is playlisting, what do you think about, is there any like good playlists that are paid? Like what do you think about paid playlists? And obviously there are, because there's a difference, man. I mean, I even worked with a company through Sony on my label, and they kind of started their company because it's like they just owned a bunch of playlists. And so they had the ability to, get things popping off. And so, and that label is actually now the label who has spearheaded most of the entire funk movement. Oh, Black 17, right? Shout out to my boy Jake Housel. They're incredible, dude. But a bunch of their business model was like they just had a lot of playlists, right? And so that's how they helped me. And so, what do you think about the industry of playlisting? And is there like a right way for artists to go about it? But dude, I want to just mention before you answer is, I think the big point that you said, which is the real thing that I think you are great at, which I hope is just a movement that. And bro, like just to go back on why I first reached out to you is I go back and I think about the message. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing. I was like, bro, how do I get my like label name or my company name on a playlist? And you're like, bro, just change the name or whatever you said, right? But my idea when I texted you that was really that, like, and it is something that I want to do as an extension of Sustainable Creative and Melodic Pulse Collective and Pulsar, is start to put other people on and be it known as a curator as well. But I love the idea of what you said. It's a content-driven playlist, which is very rare. I feel like you're one of the only people actually doing that. And so with all that being said, what do you think about the whole playlist type thing?
So it's funny. So I think playlists used to be like they could break artists. Like I think back in the day, like when Spotify was in the early days before TikTok and Instagram came, like playlist, like if you were on an editorial playlist, like that could change your career. There's still artists today that are feeding off of the success they had, like Spotify darlings, basically, where they were getting on playlists early back in when Spotify was like really running the game. Nowadays, it's funny, I know that I play this Curator, but I think that playlists from an like if your strategy as an artist is to get on playlists, I think you're already playing a losing game because a couple things, like you said. One, if you were to pay to get on a playlist, which I never suggest, I think that it'll be very hard to make that money back. So I think that you're always going to be in the red on playlists. And yes, there's a thing that for exposure and people will find you and everything, that's fine. But I think that I always say this, right? Whenever we release a song and we get like one or two editorial playlists, and the artist is bummed. The thing about I always tell artists is a piece of content will do better for you than any playlist will do. Like if you can go out and make content, like my whole thing right now is worry way less about playlists, worry way more about content. And the artists who are able to create content will see that they'll get added to what's like Lonely Beats, or there's like a Spotify playlist that I always see that's whatever, but it's an editorial playlist that's like a million followers to it, right? I've seen that I've seen what it looks like on the back end for songs. And if you have a piece of content that does really well, that is focused on a song with a call to action, that will do way better than a million follower Spotify editorial playlist. So in my mind, I'm like, if you were going to just keep on working at becoming more of a content prolific artist, that is going to be way better than any playlist. Like, I think that the whole pay for playlist thing, I don't charge for playlists. I don't do promo for playlists. The reason is for a couple reasons. One, it's a really easy way to get your playlist taken down. Two, I think it's like a little bit, I just don't feel very good doing that because I just, over time, I've just become accustomed to thinking that I just don't feel good about doing it that much. Like I'm here to like put you on was to help artists blow up artists, right? Like that's my whole thing. So if somebody ever says, hey, like, can you add me to your playlist? Like the only songs I really add to my playlist ever are songs that I make videos about. Like I rarely am adding songs just like to the playlist that I find. Yeah, I'll do on like a new release playlist. I'll go every Friday for my music club. I send a playlist of like my 15 or 20 favorite new releases every Friday. When I do that, I'll add from there the new releases that I like to my playlist, but it's rare that I'm just like fishing for artists and playlist ads and things like that. Like I'm not really doing that. So I just think that stay away from paying for playlists. I think that stay away from being in love with getting on playlists because it's kind of like a way that artists can kind of like put a band-aid on their artist career, in my opinion, where you're not building fans that way. When you get taken off the playlist, you go back down. So like instead of like, I think that if an artist is making good content, 90% of the songs that I do add to my playlist that I'm not making a video about are from me finding the artist video of them making a piece of content for that song. Like it comes from the artist content. So you will get playlist curator attention and people who are trying to make their playlist good simply by doing that. Like, so content, everything is like everything should just be more about content and less so about like reaching out to playlist people and stuff like that because it's a band-aid, right? It goes up and then down. Like you're not really going to be building your artist profile that way. Instead, you shouldn't be, that's kind of a waste of time. I think you should be focused on making content, making the playlist curators find you organically from content. And, yeah, that's my biggest thing. And it's funny because it's like, I make playlists, but I'm like, oh, playlists, you shouldn't really care about playlists as much. But I think at the end of the day, yes, like curator content driven playlists that don't run ads are your best bet. So like there's a handful of us that do it. But again, like a piece of content that you post will do better than most playlists. So content.
That's it, bro. Steve, really, I got you on here to just say that, man. Like this whole conversation for me is just like, how can we tell these guys that? Because, dude, bro, I've talked to probably over 200 artists since I started my business. And so I'm constantly talking to them about all of these points continually, man. I just had a conversation with an artist yesterday. Because here's the thing, man. And I say this on my calls with artists. So like, what's our goal, right? Our goal with music is one, to make the best music that we can as quickly as possible that we're proud of, right? If someone can make a banger one day, it's like we would do that, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is build an audience so you can play live, right? Yep. And there's so many artists. Like I've been in kind of like the melodic bass scene, like the Millennium type stuff, right? That's the kind of genre that most of my artists are kind of in. I've sang and I've produced that kind of music a lot. And so there's just a ton of artists that are at this kind of mid-level place, and some of them have, almost 200,000 monthly listeners, right? And then we go on their Instagram, and it's like they have like 4,000 followers, right? And so they've worked with labels, they play big shows, they've been on big stages with the other artists who put them on, right? Unintended again. But when we think about like their fan base, and I literally did this with this artist. I like brought up all these artists that he knew, right? And I was like, let's look at their Spotify. Let's look at their Instagram. And I asked him, I was like, do they have a fan base? And he was like, no. Right. And I'd like do this whole kind of presentation for him on just a bunch of Instagrams, a bunch of these artists who have like done big things, have good followers. They've been on a bunch of playlists. And I'm like, dude, do they have a fan base? No. Okay. And so, but I think what happens One, I think I come from the time like a lot of these artists do where it's like you have to get signed, right? And they're looking at all these artists who blew up 10 years ago and they're like, oh, they're doing the same thing that they did. But the truth is, man, as you already know, if we were to pick all these bigger artists and drop them into 2024, I'd be on calls with them too, talking about the same stuff. They'd be struggling with the content the same way, right? And so there's like this virus that is on so many artists where they just are looking at these bigger artists and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to sign with labels. I'm going to like playlists, like whatever. And the last thing they're thinking about is like the content stuff. And it's evident, right? It's very evident that that's the last thing. And they're spending all the hours of the day trying to make the best music that they can. And that's great. And you should do that. But now in the time that we live in, man, it's like, if you were just going to spend all your time making music and then spend one fraction of the time trying to promote it and make content, dude, you'll love this, bro. I tell artists this sometimes. I'm like, if you are not going to promote your music, don't even put it up on Spotify. What you should do is you should make like a cool little art piece, right? Like a little tape player, put your song on it, and then hang it up on your wall. And when your friends come over, you go, hey, I made a song. Like, I'm going to play it for you. Check out my art.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing if you don't make content. And so, dude, I say all that to say, yeah, dude, these things that are, I have a couple artists in the group who they've done all these things. And so, I had one artist in particular who had a bunch of traction. He did all these shows. He's been friends with bigger artists, big remixes, and he had this thing go down with his manager and kind of got blacklisted, and it like ruined a huge part of his career. And he's in the group now. He's a mentor as well. But, the conclusion after speaking with him and us deciding to work together was, bro, your whole career was run on connections. And when this thing went down, it was so detrimental for you because you didn't have a fan base, right? And so, dude, the content thing is literally everything. And the last thing I want to say on that point, man, is my best case study of an artist who's one of the ones who I am going to partner with, which is kind of what I mentioned. This artist named Luvium. He's from Austria, dude. And I think what's cool about him is he's like not in America. It's almost like I don't know if it's like a different work ethic or whatever, bro. But he's over across the sea. And dude, he has grown from about 4,000 Instagram followers since we started. He's now almost at 40K. And when I look at his Spotify metrics, and I look at, dude, he's almost at 10K followers on Spotify, and he has about 50,000 monthly listeners. And so we take him compared to these other artists that I just mentioned, and I'm like, who has a stronger fan base? Who has something bigger? It's him, bro. And when I look at the analytics, people aren't just finding him on playlists. It's like, dude, they're finding him on social media, and then they're directly going to listen to him. And the reason why he is where he is one, he already makes good music, right? The two songs that we've used to build his entire page are two songs that came out last year. And dude, it's like once he found his voice and he was just freaking relentless, you brought up 5,000 videos. And my question to you next is, how many videos did it take for one to pop off? But in terms of him, just to conclude on this, dude, like he's been relentless. And he's 10 times grown past these other dudes that I just mentioned. So, dude, that's it. And dude, before we move on, I just want to tell all artists listening, man, is I am an artist, bro. The reason why I started this company is because like I've gone through all this crap and I like literally lost my love for it. And so I want nothing more than for all these artists to get where they want to be. And as you know, the only way to get there in today's age is to learn how to love content, to be authentic, to be yourself, and to be freaking relentless so you can get there and you can get on Steve's playlist.
Yeah. 100%. I think it's like, you have to make good music. Really good content without good music, I think is going to be tough still. But it goes the same way. Like really good music without good content will still be tough to hear. But I think the thing is too is artists have to realize that people don't owe you streams, right? Artists have to realize that just because they make music does not mean that they deserve to live off their music, deserve to get any streams. People don't have to listen to their music. Like nobody owes them streams. So like the whole thing where like people are like, I don't want to make content. Like this big example is I talked about this before is on a pod that I have with an artist was this girl said, I'm a baker. I'm an artist. I'm a baker. I don't want to now have to start selling meat. That's not who I am because I'm a baker. And content is now getting away from being an artist. You're now doing something totally different. You're a content creator now. And I'm like, no, that's not the right way to look at it. The right way to look at it is I'm a baker. I'm on a corner where there's 30 bakeries around me. And all the other bakeries are posting a muffin of the week, their recipes. They're having people come in and try things and do reviews on their bakery. And you're just trying to focus on my muffins are the best tasting muffins. So I deserve to have all the customers because mine are the best muffins. When it's like, no, like you have to get out there and show people and work at it because everybody else makes good muffins. So that's like the best example I can give where it's like artists have to get away from this mindset where, no, I'm here to make music, I'm an artist. It's like, cool, you can. But that'll be a hobby for the rest of your life if you don't try and compete with all the other artists. You're in a competition. Even when you get signed to a label, you are in a competition with the other artists on the label to get the email is like a lot different between labels and around the label with an artist that has a cooking content that's cooking and an artist that has still not posted this week. The conversations and the talks are a lot different between those two artists. Like you're always in competition with everybody else, and the only way to do that is to be proactive, be aggressive, fall in love with making content, and just realize that this is what it is now. Like every business, right? If a business was just like, I don't want to make content about my business, like, I just want sales. It's like, it does not work like that. And I hate like for it to be transactional, but at the end of the day, like you're in the rat race. Like you gotta grind and you gotta be really, really proud of the ability to be in that race and grind and give yourself, a shot to win.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I couldn't agree more, man. And really, dude, my business in a nutshell, bro, is one, helping artists understand that like that is the answer. But I think the real sauce, man, which is what I try to do and what I hope this podcast is doing for more people is why. Okay. And that's why, dude, every single artist that I start with, man, in the program, I have this thing called the 5D brand identity blueprint, which is like a whole document. Dude, the first question for everybody is, why are you doing this? Right. And so if you're not connected with why am I actually trying to make a career out of music, and that's not in every fiber of your being, especially in the darkest moments, then dude, it's never going to be sustainable. Right. And so it's easy because there's so many people out there saying, hey, you got to make content. Right. And so like my entire thing, and dude, I've actually thought about this a lot, which is like me either talking to managers or labels and go like, hey, hire me to help your artist like learn to love making the content, right? Like that's really it, man. And so that's what I really, really try to do is, okay, cool. You need to make content, but why is it important? And how can we merge yourself as a full creative instead of just like, hey, I make great muffins, but like I make great muffins. So I'm going to love the process of like telling people that I make great muffins so more people can try the muffin.
Right. Like, exactly. This is like, this is where I source my flour. This is, this is the secret ingredient, right? Like it's like, it goes across every single vertical. So for music, it should be the same way where you are obsessed with the process. And I think, like you said too, like there's a lot of artists who they don't have that drive. They don't have that burning desire in them to be the biggest artist in the world. And a lot of times it's like, cool, like try and get a pub deal and produce for other artists and songwrite and stuff. That's great. That's a great career too. You don't have to be the artist if you don't really, really are dying to be the artist. So I think it's a lot of like introspection stuff too that artists need to go through. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you love it, if you're obsessed with it, if you think it's fun to do all that stuff, like I do, like I could have playlists, right? And I could be like, why do 30 people follow my playlist? This playlist is so good. It's like, yeah, but you're not making content every day about that playlist and nobody's finding it. That's like this as simple as it is, right? But I've fallen in love with showing people new music and, coming up with ideas. I write on my phone in my notes, all these different videos, ideas. I save videos. I watch a lot of content. Artists need to do that as well. They need to watch a lot of content. I think that artists who fail to know what content is working right now are in a losing game. I think that they need to be able to know, cool, this is like the scope of quality that I think my video should be at because of all these artists blowing up that same way. There's certain little tricks I see, like a little like the way that you hook the video, the way that you're in the way the studio video looks, like, oh, these videos are working. If I'm not up and like aware of what the successful content looks like, then it's going to be really hard for me to like pull it out of the sky and know exactly what that is. So I think being very aware of good content is a huge step as well.
Yeah, dude, that's what we've done a lot lately on our group calls, man. There's been two couple weeks lately where one, I just had everyone, I was like, yo, everyone give me a video that you like that's gone viral, right? From all these bigger artists, right? And so then one by one, we break them down literally like frame by frame, right? So they can understand from my perspective of like, why is this working, you guys?
Yeah.
Right. And then the next week, what we did is we broke down why their content wasn't working, right? With that, all that stuff that we learned the week prior as the frame. And dude, there's one specific example of just an artist who kind of does comedy stuff, and he works at a coffee shop. And so like, he turns the steam on the steamers, and he's got like cups as headphones, and it's funny, right? It's like one of his kind of like trap future based songs. And, you know, basically the first video that he posted was, you know, when the 10 shots of espresso hit. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then dude, like after that week, he just reposted the video, which is adding like one context. And it just said like, it's the CO2 cannons for me. And it took the video from 1K to 20K. And so, dude, it's just like those tiny little things of context. I mean, dude, a person that, you know, and dude, we're going to get to the Stutter House thing in a minute. Like, I didn't forget, okay, obviously. But dude, like a person who just on a very, very simple concept, man, is Laverne.
Yeah.
And so, dude, the shot's great, the music's cool. But what makes those videos so engaging is the text on screen the whole time and what it says. Mm-hmm. It's like context on context. And it's like, it's telling you how you're supposed to feel. And then as things come in, it's like coaching you through like what's happening. And I don't like to say people are dumb, but like you almost have to like tell people what's happening in the video and how they should feel, because dude, we don't want people to have to guess what's going on or anything. It's like, dude, have the music there. But it's like, dude, those little things that he does, man, what is the text actually saying? What's the purpose of what that's doing in that second?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a great example. And I remember when he started posting content, I remember because he wasn't posting for a while, and he had really good songs, and he was on my playlist, and I was posting about him. And then he finally started posting, and it was Stutter House that got him to blow up, but online. And now he's touring in the US, you know, and he was really good at just, he knew what the formula was. He knew what worked for him. And again, artists also need to realize that some content works for pages that won't work for other pages. So being aware of what page you are and how your music is and your style of music, and like, again, content aware is so important. And then you have guys like Vision V that also blow up from Stutter House that are in the same kind of lane. And he kind of has like similar content. And then he goes from 10 to 100,000 on Instagram, and then he gets a record deal, you know, things like this do happen. But, yeah, like studying is so important.
Yeah, and that's why, bro, we focus on it so much because obviously we know content support. And so, dude, I think the big point that I want to make is you have to just reference stuff, man. I remember, I'm going to tell you the story in art class when I was in high school. The kids that came out of this art class were like professional level artists. And I'll never forget this. I had this crazy teacher named Mr. Stevens. He wore like a Dickies jumpsuit every day, a bandana. He had like Oakley glasses. And dude, he was like, he would ride his bike around campus, like just so weird, but so funny and awesome. And so he had this thing where if you weren't using reference for your painting or whatever you were working on, he would dip his hand in black paint and he would put it on your painting. Like the black hand of death. And so, dude, it locked in me at a very young age. Like, dude, you have to use reference. I think a big thing that makes a lot of amateur producers amateur is like they're trying to, the structure is weird. Like it's like something's weird. It's way too long. Nothing makes sense. And so it's like, dude, go take another song and like just like break apart and analyze like what's happening. Like when does the hook start? How long is the drop? How does it transition into the verse? Mm-hmm. And like it's the same thing for content, man. Like what's working? And I tell these guys, I'm like, just copy it. Mm-hmm. Just copy it, and then like put your sauce in it. And then the last thing, man, is especially with Laverne and this Vision guy that you mentioned too. As soon as my artist, the Luvium guy, right, he had this format, and it was a lot of the things that he built, especially on TikTok, was just a slideshow. It was like this futuristic girl, and it just said like, let's bring back the emotion in EDM. And it was almost like controversial of like, wait, I thought there is emotion in EDM, but dude, it was just like AI kind of girl at a crowd with that text. And then it would just, the next slide was like, hey, my name is Luby. I'm like, I hope this song like helps you feel better, pretty much, right? And he's super emotional. His tagline is like, let's cry and heal together. But dude, why he's been so successful is because as soon as he found something that worked, he just repeated it. And I think so many artists will find something that works, and you should continue to experiment. But I just want to tell I like yell at these guys sometimes, and I say this. I'm like, you guys, when you find something that works, please, God, just repeat it, dude. Just keep doing the same thing, man. Just keep, if the play works, just run it, bro. It's like, even for you, Steve, it's like you found a series that works and you're like, okay, I'm going to run this same thing. I'm going to make it different every time, but it's going to be the same series, bro.
Yeah. Definitely. Like when I remember posting longer form content, journalistic kind of deep dives into artists, and I was like, yeah, but I really want to post like 3 songs that dropped today. And I would just see like after a while, like my longer form videos about artists that have like real like deep dives and story behind them were just like growing way faster than my other ones. And I was like, so that I just kind of like shifted. That's how it was. But that's how I've done my whole career. It's like I started doing just song reviews. I was doing reaction videos to songs. Reaction video, just here's a song on the playlist. Reaction video, here's a song on the playlist. And then I started doing song recommendations. So like songs I found from my playlist, or songs so chill you need a sweater for my chill playlist, and things like that. So, and then it was more storytelling stuff, right? So I've kind of like just progressed like the content, because I think also like artists, like if you do the same thing over and over and over again, yes, it could work. Eventually, when it starts to slow down, you have to like be able to pivot and like kind of grow in your own content as well. Like don't be afraid to like level up or like try something else, or like kind of like evolve with the times, I think, which goes back to being aware of what the content is, right? If you're stuck making, if an artist right now that I'm working with is making it's just as chill, it's just a song, and then slide over the song, like that was hot like a year ago. Like if you're making it now, like then, like you're late to the game, and people aren't like, that's not like the content that's working right now, So yeah, exactly the post I'm talking about.
Dude, for sure, man. Okay, so I got a couple more things I want to hit on, but dude, so there's a story that I really like to tell artists, and you probably know him. You know Daniel Allen. I just need. Okay, so dude, he has a video, right, where he posted that song like 196 times or something before it actually hit. And so, I'm curious, man, on that note of just consistency. You said 5,000 videos, right? So can you just talk just a little bit about that process for you, and how many videos did it take you where something finally popped off and when it started to really get moving? Because man, I really just want everyone to have that perspective on like how many videos it actually takes. And it's going to be different for everybody, of course. But for you, like what was it?
So yeah, my story, artists probably aren't going to like this. It was my 9th video actually for my series. And the thing is though, that was when TikTok was a very content deficient platform. So there's a lot less people posting than viewing. It was during COVID. It was like the golden era of growth on TikTok. It was my 9th I'm a Rap Fan, but these house songs slap videos. But again, like I still set out the plan to make a series about this, right? So I got all my songs, I edited all the videos, I like posted twice a day, and it was 9th, but it started working right away, right? Like I think I found the perfect series, because it was I'm a Rap Fan, but these house songs slap. So it was like people are like, oh, what the hell? Like, it was a good idea for a series. So that translates to the playlist and everything. And then I'm just doing a song review. And song reviews to this day are still a really good way for people to grow. So it's different for like me versus artists. But what we tell artists now is you need to make 100 pieces of content for that song. You need to post it 100 times. Like you do. Like, and there's an artist named Lincoln Jesser. Lincoln Jesser is a really good example of this, where he was making kind of like normal tech house, or like kind of like house. He made some emotional stuff, but he made a conscious decision to just start posting 3 times a day about healing house. And so he was posting like, what if and he tried a lot of these things that didn't work at first, right? But the one that ended up working, the word on screen was, what if somebody made house music intentionally designed to make you heal? And so like he found, all right, then that worked, right? And then what did he do? Like you said, he leans into it and repeats it, and he just keeps doing that over and over again. And I've never seen a page grow as fast as he grew on Instagram. He was just growing like crazy. Like we were seeing it over and over again. It was 3 posts a day. So he was just like all day, like making videos all day, 3 times a day. And it was like his last ditch effort for his career before he was going to have to just be like a songwriter or a producer for other people. Like it was his last ditch effort, and that's what worked. But so everybody's different. Mine worked really fast because of my series, but I'm not an artist, right? But for what I tell other people is, you never know. It could have been my 30th video. I would have made it. Like I knew I was in it. Like it could have been if I made 29 videos. If my 30th video popped, if I made 29, I never would have popped. Like that's on me. Like you just know. But again, it was just like I was more so like building myself as a tastemaker in music versus trying to build views for videos. It was like once I bought into like me just like this is what I'm doing now. Like I'm just gonna be sitting here, I'm gonna be finding music, I'm gonna be spending like hours in my comment section and listening to songs. If I like the one, then I would put that on my list of songs to review and then post in my playlist. Like it took a lot of grind and effort for that, right? So through all of that, I fell in love with the process. I still think it's fun to make videos. I still like when I make a video and be like, holy shit, like I love this video. Like this is great. This is fun. Like, so I'm still in that moment where I'm not like, ugh, gotta make another video, or damn, what am I gonna post about my playlist today? Or like, ugh, like I got an event coming up. Like, what do I do? You know, I'm never like that. I'm still very much like, feel like I'm just like trying to still grow. I'm not the biggest curator either. I have 60 something on Instagram. I have 150 something on TikTok. There's people way bigger than me with millions of followers, right? But for me, it's been like an organic growth, and I think that I'm still like trying to blow up. I feel like so I really still feel that way. So I'm still like in a competition with myself, even to continue to do that.
Yeah, man. Well, bro, you're killing it, in my opinion, bro, and I think it's only up from here, man. But I think just in general, man, that kind of more slow, sustainable growth, it's almost like you really want that, man. Because I feel like, dude, as you know, it's like when stuff just hits immediately, I feel like it's kind of a curse when you just get like, you know, you go from 10,000, like you have 5 million followers in 2 months. It's like most of us, I don't think are ready for that, right? And so I'm even glad my career has taken as long as it has to get here, because I wouldn't have the wisdom, the experience, the patience to do what I'm doing now, right? But dude, I think what really made that first series do what it did, and I want to just like touch on this for a second, because I feel like it is the main thing that most artists or even content creators need to focus on, is the hook of what the series is. Because bro, that's a genius title. I'm a rap fan, but these house songs slap. Because immediately you go, like whoever hears that is like, oh wait, hold up. Okay, I need to check out. I like rap, but like, okay, I my friends like house music. I'm gonna check this out. So, dude, in that, even the thing with about house songs intentionally made to heal, it's like, dude, that's unique. And so I think that even just goes to, I try to tell also artists, like, whatever that hook is, whatever that first 3 seconds of what you're doing, it's like, dude, that's its own video. Like, Steve, if you were to just give that some other random title that wasn't what it is, I mean, it probably wouldn't have taken off. So can you just talk a little bit about creating a hook or a series of something that's unique, and how did you come up with that, and how can you relate that to telling either another influencer or an artist like to create something that's unique like that?
Right now I'm especially for like my videos that I make in longer form, but I think this applies to a lot of content, is I'm basically trying to make like a 3-second video, a 3-second movie right away, where it's like 1, 2, 3, and like you're giving people like such a rush of like value right there, whether it be like a visual hook or words on the screen or a crazy video, right? Like I'm like right away I'm trying to just get people like, oh shit, like look at all this stuff happening, like 3-second video, and then everything that happens after that is just like confirming the 3 seconds. Like it's just like the video I made today, there's this new song Swedish House Mafia made with Alicia Keys, and I was like, this is actually really cool. Alicia Keys getting into house music. So my hook was Alicia Keys starting her house music career was not in my cards for 2024, but here we are, and I'm not mad about it. But it's like, so people are like, oh, Alicia Keys started her house music career? What does that mean? So it's like, there's kind of like a thing where it's like, Alicia Keys, did she make a new house project, or what's going on here? And all the visuals I'm stacking right away are like, boom, 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 really cool. So, and then it's like, after that, it's like let me just explain everything. So then I'm like, all right, cool. Remember back in the day when this happened? Then I'm like, then I start my story. Sometimes I'll throw in multiple hooks where I'm like hook, and then my second hook is like what most people's first hook would be, or it could have been. So it's like two different hooks to like hook the viewer twice. But for artists, yeah, like the hook is just so important. And I guess the context of the video really, really matters. The song, the way the song is positioned really, really matters. But there's just so many different examples of how a video flops because of the first 3 seconds aren't good, but the whole video is so good. So it's like you deserve your video to be seen. You deserve your song to be heard. Like you gotta get people right away that are interested in it right away. So yeah, like just always focus on like cool, like just playing around with different hooks and titles, like different things on screen, different colors, the way things are like highlighted, like the timing of things in the beginning of the video. Just pay attention to those things.
Yeah. Okay. So, dude, I want to transition into kind of like what you would tell artists right now that are already making music and how to like go from there with content. But I think the really bigger question is like, what is Steve looking for? Like when you see a video of an artist, of a music project, you see some content, like what makes you go like, oh, this is dope. I love this, how this is put together. I'm going to like go to their profile. I'm going to check out their music on Spotify. Like what is Steve looking for?
The song quality, right? Like if the song catches my ear, the attention, I think, like when you can tell when an artist is like is comfortable and used to making content, like you can just see that. So I think just the effort point where they might not have blown up yet, but if they're like showing that they know how to make content, they can make content, like that's a huge plus. And basically like those two things, if you can do those things really, really well, if you can produce quality music, create quality music, and you can actually show an effort and quality and attention to like knowing that we're not gonna have to teach this artist how to be a music or to be a content creator. Like they already kind of have a knack for it, and you just see that those are the artists that are like popping. Like Bunt is a really good example. Bunt just knows how to make content. He's really good at making content. Like he just knew that, and he tells a story about how he posted a video, it didn't do anything, and then he sped up the
Yeah,
sound.
I remember that story, bro.
Yeah, and then boom, and then that one popped. But again, it was because he was comfortable making that switch and that content and thinking about it from that perspective that got him there. So like, I think those two things are the biggest things. Just focus on the quality of music, make the music really good, that to the best of your ability, of course, and then showing and proving that you have some sort of literacy when it comes to creating content and like putting content out. And yeah, like you can always tell those things pretty fast.
Okay. So you brought up Bunt. Let's kind of move into the whole Stutter House movement, man, because I feel like this is like, to me, this will be the hook of my video when I post this. I'll be like, I don't know how, like, Steve, you tell me, bro. Like, what would maybe we can like kind of riff on what the hook should be. I was thinking like, this is the dude who made up Stutter House or coined the word Stutter House, something like that.
Yeah. Coined the name of a genre, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, if anyone didn't know, like Steve is the guy who coined the word Stutter House and the whole thing that blew up last year. And so the first question kind of going into this is, what artists have you actually been responsible for helping blow up? And then maybe you can kind of transition that into when this, because dude, Steve, that's when I first saw you, bro. That's when I heard about Stutter House. That's even when, dude, one of the artists I've been working with for a long time, he started to go into that genre. He remixed one of that Julia Klein song, the Soldier one, right? So I like helped him work on that song. And so I remember as this whole thing was going on, man, and I mean, dude, there's one of my favorite artists from that genre. What is his name, man? I think it's Cloud something. Is that song called Underwater?
Cloud 19 Clouds.
Not, bro, that song.
Yeah.
Love that song. Dude, I've listened to that a lot, man. And so some of the playlists that you've had, I've listened to a lot, man. It's affecting me, man. And just as a side note, I've been doing band stuff and then into EDM. I sang on some, dude, actually how I first started in the EDM space was all house. I sang on a bunch of house music, and then I went into like the melodic bass type stuff. But bro, I've come out of retirement lately and I've kind of been messing around with some house stuff. I did like a remix the other day. So I'll send you some of my house stuff at some point. Maybe there'll be a Zack Gray, like in the house vibe. Cause I really am such a fan of house music, bro. So, but yeah, man. So when that was going on, like what was that moment for you that you're like, yo, this is a new genre? Like give me kind of that whole timeline of like what happened with the Stutter House thing.
Yeah. I think it started. So the first one I remember was Silk posted Quiver. So Silk posted Quiver, and I was like, oh, this is sick. What is this production? This is I immediately noticed the vocal stutter. And then Clouds by Bunt came out. That was another one. The Chainsmokers and the Shipwreck song, The Fall, was a big one. And then Odessa had The Last Goodbye. So yeah. So these were happening, and I was like, damn, like there's this like crazy thing happening that I've never heard of before, and I feel like this is emerging in the space, and more people would post it. And then my artist Angry Baby also was doing this, and I was like, okay, so how can I? This is actually like some crazy game. I was like, how can I promote Angry Baby using this newfound style of dance music? So I created the Stutter House playlist. I didn't know what to call it at first. For the first couple of videos, I was talking about the stutter. They all have this thing in common, the stutter, but I didn't know what to call it. And then landed on like people were like, oh, Quiver House or Flutter House, and I was like, eh. And then Stutter House, I was like, oh, Stutter House kind of sounds good. It's very, very obvious of like what's going on. So I made a video for Angry Baby for his song called Hold You that was coming out. And I was like, this is new genre that's been created in dance music. I used Fred Again as an example. Fred Again was also doing this. Turn on the Lights has the vocal chop in it. And I use all these examples to say, hey, my pre-save of the week coming up, this artist Angry Baby does the same thing and it's fire, boom. And there was a pre-save video where I used to do these a lot. And then that is what spurred the playlist. And then I built that playlist basically to add all these songs to it, make the series about it. That series is like that series and the playlist is like the fastest growing playlist I ever had. And then I start seeing other people talk about, hey, ever heard of Stutter House? Like other curators, and I was like, oh shit, like they call it Stutter House too. Like, all right, like they've seen, and I know them, so I know they saw my videos. And then I just see more and more people talking about it. The term Stutter House, people are sending me it all the time. Stutter House, people are talking about it, typing it up. And then Spotify made their playlist, took my playlist, completely just made it their own, like copied all the songs over. And the reason that I made this video about this, by the way, which also went semi-viral. And the reason I caught them doing that was because I had a song on there that called Friday Night by Orbit, and it wasn't house music. It was like a pop song, like an alt pop song, but it had the gated vocal in it, like that stutter in it. And so I had it on there because I liked the song. And when I go, like people are like, "Oh, somebody made a Stutter House playlist at Spotify," one of the editors, and I like look, and it's called Emotional Dance. And on the playlist was Friday Night by Orbit, as well as all the other ones too. Like everyone was on there. I was like, "Oh my god, all these are on there." And then that's how I was like, damn, like they just took it because they wouldn't have added Friday Night by Orbit because that's not a house song. They wouldn't have made a dance. It's not a dance song at all. So they wouldn't have like just found it and added it.
Dude, this Stutter House Trojan horse, bro.
Yeah. So anyways, like the playlist started going crazy. The series starts blowing up. That happens. I go to Pandora. They give me a Pandora takeover on Mixer, where I host this channel, this takeover that like Tiesto did one, Calvin Harris, all these crazy artists have done takeovers on Mixer. Well, I did one for Stutter House. I talk about Stutter House, what it means, the artists that are on it. And then from the success of the Mixer takeover, they made their own channel on Pandora called Stutter House. And then Spotify made an official Spotify rap genre, Stutter House. So people were like getting all those notifications. Oh, the number one genre I listened to this year was Stutter House. And I was like, what the hell? Like, so that's when it all kind of like, it snowballed from there. And then, and yeah, that's like what it really took to like have it. But yeah, it just happened just from the content being passed around so much and the playlist really growing. And that's really how Stutter House came about.
I mean, dude, you have artists that I've talked to lately that have in their bio, like Stutter House producer.
Really? I haven't seen that.
Dude, yeah, bro.
Cool.
I saw one of those lately and I was like, well, actually hit him up. I was like, I'm talking to Steve in a couple of days. Cool. Dude, that's crazy, man. So what in that time, man, is there like that playlist and your content, like was there artists that you kind of helped kind of really blow up? But dude, I love that you said this is game, and I think the point I want to just go back to it and mention is it started from you just trying to like help one of your own artists. I think that's the coolest part of that whole story to me, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, how can I leverage something that's going on to help someone that I work with? That's so sick, dude.
Yeah, and a few artists that I like were working with after that were making some Stutter House tracks, and so I was obviously the guy, right, with the playlist. But yeah, like I mean, I don't really credit myself blowing up these artists, but some of the artists that got probably a bump from all this, like Bunt for sure. I think Silk, Angry Baby, definitely. Vision V, same thing. Desco, 19 Clouds, like we talked about. This dude Romy, this dude Ralph had this song Richmond, and he came up to me at a festival and was like, "Dude, you gave me my first 100,000 streams on a song." Like, so Babsy is another artist that was big on there that had a crazy song that came out that has 10 million streams now. It was a cover of Everywhere by Fleetwood Mac, and that one blew up, and now he's doing like festivals and his own shows and stuff like that. Yeah, like Laverne, I think too, like helped, but he had his own content that was doing really well. So a lot of these artists also had their own content. But yeah, like I think some of those early ones for sure were like kind of like the regulars on the playlist. I think were pretty rewarded for that, which is cool. Which is cool for sure.
As we kind of land the plane, man, I just have a couple other questions before ask you if you want, to talk about anything you're working on, like you talked about earlier. What do you think are the biggest shifts happening right now? I think we're like, you would say we're mostly in the electronic scene, right? So let's just kind of stay here, right? So in the scene right now, because I know you also talk about how the club culture is changing, and I love the thing that you guys have been doing. I want to get into the event space as well. Because dude, there's a lot of I feel like house things. I want to get into like, because another you said Space Yacht. I look at like Brownies and Lemonade, stuff like that. So I'm kind of like, what's the melodic bass type of thing like that? But I love the idea of turning nightlife into rooftop stuff or cafe stuff. And so maybe you can talk about some of that too. But how do you see just like the entire culture of dance music kind of changing?
Definitely. I think artists have a chance right now to really start like their own little movements when it comes to live music stuff. I think people are getting tired of going out. I think it's a combination of a few things. The price of everything when you go out is expensive. I think the apps, like dating app stuff, like has totally shifted like what public culture is for the youth. But I also think that just like how nightclubs specifically have really become bottle service pits that people are less so there to like vibe out to music. They're just there to like be at a table. And the table, if you start dancing, you're embarrassed. LA is a whole thing like that. This is not the case all around the world, by the way. This is specifically more like a big city US thing, I would say. But at the same time, like it depends where you go. Like, if you go to Silver Lake, right? You go to a cool bar at Silver Lake, people are dancing. Like it really depends. But for the majority of like, I think big production clubs with like the CO2 blasters, I think that's to me dying. I am getting a little bit older. I'm 30 now. So I'm not saying that like I'm in all the clubs all the time. But the point that I'm making about club culture dying and what artists are doing nowadays is throwing their own like parties, like their own traveling parties. Like Jero does a really good job at this. Blondish does a really good job at this with her Abracadabra. That dude Tobias is blowing up right now, who's also a Stutter House guy. He's doing his own like tours, and he's doing all this stuff on YouTube. So like this dude Bryn Mawr, who's a curator and a creator, he was talking about the parties happening on YouTube now, and artists taking advantage of that by posting like Jero did, Canopy Club series, where he has an event going on. He just did one in New York. And he'll like have a few hundred people there, but the videos are getting millions of views on YouTube. So that's not only promoting his music and his events and getting more people involved, and probably growing his community too. So at Put You On, I really want to celebrate artists and champion artists in that sense, where we can help them produce these parties for themselves, record them on YouTube and things like that. That's why this AM radio event's going on. It's a cool place. It's a different play on like getting together. It's like this cafe sets that start at 10 a.m. So you're kind of like on the weekend mornings, you're like looking for something to do before you go to the beach, or you just want to like go to a place that has music at. That's what we're kind of trying to do there. So it's like a new spin on it. We haven't done our first one yet. It'll take a few, I think, to really know like what the biggest value add is. But we're doing all the sets recorded. We're putting them on YouTube, and want to like find ways to help artists promote their own shows too. So, but yeah, overall, I think that these like cool parties where like you get a text from an artist, Fredigan, right? Fredigan's in his Discord on Thursday has an LA release party. I don't think he's gonna be there, but I'm in his Discord. I get the notification. I get a ticket. I'm going to Fredigan like album release party for him in LA, where it's like it's part of like a smaller cult of people, right? So you feel like you're kind of in the know and in the coolness. So like I think artists can just tap into that kind of stuff and really take advantage of people's preferences on like going out and experiencing music.
I love it, man. I think it's really like being creative as an artist to get out of just the normal things that everyone's been locked into forever. And I think the biggest thing about that, whether it's a real life event or an online community, I think creating these experiences and this culture and this community around a movement which is from your music. And so dude, the last couple things is just everything that we talked about, bro. If you could talk to as many artists as possible, like, or you could just put a thought in their head, that would be just the most helpful thing. Like, what would you, in like the simplest way, what would you tell, or almost let's think about this. Let's think about like Steve's favorite artist that you don't know about yet, right? He's out there, right? He's in his bedroom making something, right? Mm-hmm. What would you tell that kid?
I'll say this: content should be part of your artist tool belt more than something to do after you make your music. Like it should, like you should have a full 360 approach on like creating a song and then like creating content for that song, like teasing songs. Like there's artists that just like Kenya Grace, she will make a song for a 10-second part of a song and post them, and the ones that blow up she completes and makes those. So she's almost doing things in reverse. So like there are ways right now to be just appreciative of the opportunity that you have, where you have a platform that has never been here before. So like fall in love with the opportunity to be able to create content to promote yourself, but also like learn from other people as well. Like use it as a tool, and you have everything in front of you to find what's working for artists, and there should be no reason that you can't learn from that and adopt it into your practices. But I think that the biggest thing is just I want to like throw out the idea that like we talked about earlier, that you have to make content to promote your music now. It's like that should just be a package deal right there, that you know you are able to make content and music, and those two things together are gonna kind of push you down that line.
Amazing, bro. Well, Steve, I massively appreciate your time today. This has been such a cool conversation, man. I'm happy to have you on, man. I'm happy to just develop a relationship regardless too. And this has been great, dude. So before we end, man, what's next for you? Where can people find you? And I know there's a couple things that you've been working on that I'd love for you to get to share with everybody.
Yeah. You can find me on the socials. Steve Cardigan is just the same thing on TikTok and Instagram. We're cooking up the AM radio stuff. So I have a music club that is probably the best way to get involved in the platform, whether you're an artist. So my music club is where all music submissions happen as well. It's in the Discord. So if you join the music club, you get basically put on this page where you can get invited to the Discord. When you go in there, there's like a whole thing you can submit songs. People DM me all the time, hey, where can I submit music? It's always like, yeah, you can do it in the music club Discord. So music club is a really, really good one, but that's also not only for artists. It's a way for you to find new music and find out what the events that we're doing are. So every Friday I send a new playlist to the music club members on the text. So every Friday to your phone, you get like the best new releases to your phone. And then we throw music club parties. So the AM radio thing and all the artist parties that we do are music club parties. You have to be in the music club to get the invite. So if you just want to be involved in like new music and get like coming to these cool events in LA specifically, and a little bit in New York, but mostly in LA, the music club is definitely the way to go, and a cool way for you if you move to a new city as well. Like people like are moving to LA, they join the music club, and like they're finding a community of music fans. And then, um, yeah, that's probably. Oh yeah, for music curator specifically, I would say. So if you're a music curator, I have a music curator guide that I made. It's like a 22-page document on what I learned, a lot of content ideas, how to start becoming a music curator. Essentially, you can start a music curator journey like this week if you wanted to. So that's a really good one. It's in my all my social bios. You can always find it under any curator section. Like my website is pretty easy to navigate, I would say. So you can find the curator tab, go there, find the curator guide. And yeah, it's a big opportunity still, and I think that the next like companies in music are going to be kind of spawned off the back of music curators.
Beautiful, man. Well, we'll make it easy for everyone as well, and send me all the links. We'll put them in the description of this video as well. But dude, without further ado, Steve, thank you so much for being here. We'll have to run this again at some point as well.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, no, fun chat. Cool what you're building too, and yeah, let's stay tapped in.